Today on Dr. Phil, an ex-military father
I don't respect you, sir. I don't respect racist people.
confronts his daughter's abuser.
I didn't think it was possible you would say something even more stupid than what you've already said.
You fully acknowledge that you have abused her on multiple occasions.
Yes, sir.
What's going to happen to change that?
If I was in their shoes, I would hate my guts, and I would never want my daughter to ever be around me.
If her parents can't keep him away,
You violated a restraining order twice since you've been here.
can Dr. Phil
Have you threatened to murder her, and did you tell her that you've murdered someone before?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Yesterday, I sat down with Autumn, who was so crazed about her ex-boyfriend DeAndre's behavior that she keyed his car in a fit of rage. Now, Autumn says DeAndre is abusive and claims he has headbutted her, may have sexually assaulted her, and threatened to kill her. Now, Autumn's parents, Sean and Angelica, say Autumn refuses to call the police and is always making excuses for DeAndre. But DeAndre claims it's Autumn's father who was abusive to her and blames him for their messed up relationship. Here's what happened yesterday.
You think I care? I don't care anymore.
Quit hitting me.
I've lost my mind.
DeAndre is probably the most jealous person I've ever met. DeAndre goes crazy when he's not in control. He starts bashing me. Last September, I woke up and I was at DeAndre's house. I just had bruises everywhere, and I don't remember a thing.
My wife and I got a phone call. It's one of those phone calls that you never want to get as a parent. Help me, I'm being held against my will.
Her leg was bleeding. She had blood on her face. We took her to the ER. Autumn did not want to press charges. I think Autumn dropped the charges because she thought he was sorry.
So he has abused you.
Yes.
Has he sexually assaulted you?
Yes.
You have a restraining order against him now, correct?
Yes.
So why have you been with him all weekend while you were here?
He just sucks me back in.
Dad, why do you think it's okay with her to be treated that way?
I can't explain the gravity associated with your daughter calling you at 2 a.m. in the morning and screaming over the phone that she thinks somebody's going to kill her, and then the phone cuts off and you don't even know where she's at.
What's your take on this, Mom?
I'm scared, very scared.
Autumn and I have an abusive relationship. I stay with Autumn because I kind of like crazy girls. This order of protection came about because me and Autumn cannot stay away from each other. 3 days ago, we was having sex in my vehicle. It was good sex.
Why do you think that it's okay for you to hit my daughter
Why
or
do you
any
think
other
it's okay
woman?
for you to hit your daughter? Or your daughter is also very afraid of you. So you didn't drag her out the house by her hair?
No, I did not.
Let's say that's correct, just hypothetically. What the hell does that have to do with you doing it? You think because
No,
someone else in the past that gives you license to do so?
No, sir. I just take full responsibility for
Well,
what
then
I
take
have.
responsibility
I feel
for
like
it and
he
don't
should
point the
take
finger at
full
him.
responsibility
If you're
for what
putting
he
your
did.
hands on a woman, that's a cowardly thing to do.
Yes, sir.
What are you doing?
Yes, sir.
You said on the 10th of September in 2017, you found her passed out in a car with some unknown man.
Yes, sir.
And she fell to her knees when she got out of the car.
And we was laying down for a little bit, and then like she started rubbing her butt up against me. And then that's when we did what we had to do. We did our thing.
Rape is unlawful sexual penetration of a victim by the defendant. The defendant knows or has a reason to know that the victim is mentally defective, mentally incapacitated, or physically helpless.
There was time lapse.
What is Autumn seeing you? Oh my gosh.
I don't know if I've ever met anyone more foolish than you.
Yes, sir.
Let me... I've trained thousands of
Yes,
soldiers
sir.
to take the battlefield.
Yes, sir.
In some of the most dangerous conditions imaginable.
Yes, sir.
By the grace of God in heaven, I was unable to find you.
Yes.
And it's only through my inability to do so that you still draw breath.
Are you threatening to kill me?
Autumn's parents, Sean and Angelica, say their daughter's boyfriend, DeAndre, has threatened to kill her several times, and they are afraid he may actually follow through with it at some point when he loses control. DeAndre says he's been through anger management. He recognizes that he has work to do, but he seems to not read the room really well and has said some very insensitive things in front of her parents that I think are really offensive and disrespectful. And I don't know if you know that, but I think it's been very hurtful to you to hear some of these things. I think you are showing extreme control in this situation. Thank you. Sean says one night Autumn called him hysterical, and when he got to DeAndre's house to pick her up, she was beaten to a pulp and covered in blood. Take a look.
That guy's a monster. I think he's evil. My daughter's starting to become this stranger to my wife and I. She's 180 degrees from the person that she was.
Before meeting DeAndre, Autumn was vibrant. Since meeting him, Autumn has withdrawn, dropped out of college.
Autumn calls us frequently, and it's almost like something out of a scary movie. All you can hear on the phone is my daughter screaming hysterically, he's gonna kill me, he's holding me on the floor, and then the phone hangs up, and you have no idea where she's at.
One time, she was crying because he stripped her of her clothes and called her a whore. I confronted him and told him that my daughter is not a whore. My daughter doesn't deserve to be degraded. He said, "Yes, ma'am, I love your daughter."
I fear what DeAndre's gonna do to her because this cycle of violence that they're trapped in, it's getting tighter and tighter.
Autumn has promised me numerous times that she'll stay away from him, and I find out that she hasn't left. I'm afraid DeAndre will kill my daughter. He's hurting my baby, and I want her back.
You were wanting to say something during the tape?
Oh yeah, that was the night that, this is when you told me that, that's the night that she said that her dad was abusive.
Mm-hmm.
When we was in the same room, when she said your dad puts her hands on her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can act like you don't know. We know.
Does that have to do with anything?
I'm just saying.
Okay, so you've said it, now what?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
All right, let's move on.
So what's next? What do you want to say next?
Oh, nothing. I just wanted to point that out because she was acting like she didn't understand.
You didn't like me standing up to you.
I love that you stood up to me. I like that. I like that you're a strong, independent woman. I respect you. I don't respect you, sir.
Mm-hmm. I would be very, very careful if I were you. This is what I do. I read people, and
yes, sir.
I've been doing this for 45 years, and I would be very, very careful.
Yes, sir. I don't respect racist people.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You can throw the race card up on the table if you want, but I would be very, very careful about insulting the father of a girl that I had been physically and sexually assaulting.
Yes, sir.
I would be very careful about that, whether he's black, red, blue, green, or whatever. I would be very, very careful about that. Just my advice.
Did he just raise the race card?
He did.
DeAndre?
Yes, sir.
I'm open to what I was hoping you would say something even more stupid than what you've already said. Could you, I didn't think it was possible, but I've been wrong before. What did you just say about race?
I just hear, this is a hearsay. I'm not 100% sure if he's racist or not. I'm just hearsay of what your daughter tells me. Just like she said that you beat her.
Okay.
I'm just hearsay of what your daughter tells me.
Right. When you're beating her and when she's trying to get out of the situation.
No, sir. When
she's scared
when
that you're gonna take her
when
life.
she's at home starving and you're not helping her with anything, and she's telling me.
Let me, can I?
When she's
Well,
telling
you're not accountable to him for that, but go ahead with whatever
I'd love
else.
to put your mind at ease.
Yes,
You
sir.
seem like such a good young man. So let's talk about race. It seems like your generation loves to throw out that. So you've been given your opportunity. Let me have mine.
I understand, sir, but I have no problem. I'm just going off of what your daughter tells me.
So then let me help you clear it up, okay?
All right, let me listen.
Yeah.
All
So in the 20 years that I had the privilege of serving my country, I led men of all color, women of all color.
I understand that.
I trained and fought beside them, and I was willing without hesitation to give my life for them, to protect the rights of the people sitting out here. And if you look, they're different colors. To protect people like you, who even though you're too foolish to understand it, still have privileges that the Constitution provides you. And there's men and women that are willing to fight for those. So the two best friends that I had the privilege of knowing, one was a black man, and my wife can tell you this, he and I were brothers. We were. And the day that I got the call from his wife that he had died in Afghanistan was probably one of the saddest days of my life. And I still weep when I think about his passing. You don't have the right to speak about race when you talk to me. If I'm the man that you think that I am, I would not have raised the daughters that I raise who don't see people based on the color of their skin. My daughter was in love with a black man before she met you, and he is awesome. He was good. My wife and I were actually excited about the prospect that he was going to propose to her. And every time we see him, we embrace him and we tell him that we miss him. I have a daughter that married a Hispanic man. We didn't raise our children to see color. We raised them to love good people, which is why we're having trouble with this.
Have you threatened to murder her, and did you tell her that you've murdered someone before?
Yes, sir.
I've been married 42 years, and I just can't think of any time I've ever told my wife I'm going to murder you. And later, you're under a restraining order right now. You violated it twice since you've been here.
Wait, am I supposed to agree with you?
You already have.
Shoot, y'all got me sweating. I'm be back in jail. Shoot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You fully and freely acknowledge that you have physically abused her on multiple occasions.
Yes, sir.
What's going to happen to change that?
I just got to keep working. I feel like taking that first step into realizing that I have anger issues and trying to help get the problem resolved was a big step, but it just doesn't happen overnight. I feel like it's going to take time for me to get better.
It's a process.
Yes, sir.
And there was an incident report concerning your domestic violence where you were charged with assault in January of this year. And the report says that you dragged her into the bedroom,
No, sir.
took her money, approximately $450 in cash, grabbed her ankles and drug her towards the bed before grabbing her arms and throwing her on the bed, that you picked her off the bed and slammed her on the ground. You put her back on the bed and began choking her and threw her against the wall and slammed her face so hard that her ears started ringing and she thought her jaw was going to break. That you attempted to drag her to the bathroom to get blood off of her face. Now that was the incident report that was filed. Do you recall that? The report?
I've never read that report.
Okay. And then there was a mugshot.
However,
that went along with it,
yes.
And you were charged with aggravated assault.
Yes,
bond
sir.
was $20,000.
Yes, sir.
So you recall that, right?
Yes, sir. And then after that, that's when I took my anger management class. However, the story's false.
No, I'm just saying what was in the police report. That's what
Yes,
she
sir.
reported.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you were asking, is he calling his daughter a liar, or are you calling her a liar?
She lies about some things.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But you do admit that you've choked her, you said
Yes, sir.
probably 6 times.
Yes, sir.
But you don't want to do that. That's not something you want to do, right? You
No,
want
sir.
to stop that.
Yes, sir. I want to get
And
help. Yes, sir.
have you threatened to murder her, and did you tell her that you've murdered someone before?
Yes, sir.
Who did you murder?
I didn't murder someone. I just said it to scare her.
You just were intimidating her,
Yes, sir.
threatening her? Well, let me ask you something. Anger management or no anger management, does that seem odd to you in a relationship to be telling someone that you supposedly care about,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to murder you? I mean, I've been
wrong.
married 42 years, and I just can't think of any time I've ever told my wife I'm going to murder you.
Yes.
But it seems like such an odd thing to come up in a conversation. What would cause you to say, I'm going to murder you?
Anger issues.
But so that's something that you thought about?
No, sir.
Well, you did think about it because you said it.
I just call it talking out the side of my neck. That means like I'm just talking to talk. Like I'm not really thinking about what I'm saying, I'm just talking.
And do you sometimes do things that you don't think about doing? You just impulsively you do it?
Yes, sir.
Let's take a look at the video of Autumn keying your car that went viral. And then I'm going to ask you to tell me what happened here.
You think I care? I don't care anymore!
Quit hitting me.
I've lost my mind!
Quit hitting me.
Give a
Oh, you don't need to give a That's cool. I got video proof of you doing this. You're crazy, bro. You're crazy. Let me leave. You have me blocked in. Let me leave. You're kidnapping me. Let me leave. Leave me alone. Let me leave.
So what was going on there?
All right, so that night, because how Autumn, she's...
Because you did show some restraint
yes, sir.
in that.
Yes, sir. So that night, Autumn and I, we was at her house. She went through my cell phone and she saw old messages from when we was broken up. My son's mother had sent me some messages and she went through the messages, saw those messages. She was like, leave, leave. I was like, no, like I care about you. I'm not trying to leave while like over some stuff that happened when we was broken up. And then so she's like, blase, blase, she's screaming at me, we're yelling at each other. And then she sets all my stuff outside. I walk outside, I got all my stuff, I'm in the car, and then she sends me a picture of all the money in my wallet, and then she sends me like a winky face, and I'm just like, okay. So I go up there, knock on the door, knock, 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 knock. Can I get my money? I don't have your freaking money. She's like, if you don't leave, I'm calling the cops. And then so I snatch her phone, I take off running, and then I hide her phone, and then it turns into a high-speed chase, like I'm trying to get around the corners, and then I'm trying to turn around, and then Lil A, that's her nickname, I call her Lil A, she hops out the car and she starts going ham on me. Going ham means she went crazy on me, so y'all know the lingo, but she goes ham on me. And I was like, look, man, I cannot, like, by that time I was just so like beyond, like, we've been through so much and it's just so crazy right now. So I'm just like, look, I'm videotaping you because I don't know what else to do right now. Like, I can't control myself. I know that I'm not going to put my hands on you because I'm trying to get better and I'm trying to control myself. So I just videotape her. You keyed the car. Not only did you key the car, you keyed my rental car. It's not even my car you keyed. So that's when I'm like, you're going to have to pay for this. And she's like, no, I'm not going to pay for this. All the times you broke my stuff, like, you're going to pay for this, blase, blase. I was like, look, you're going to have to pay for this or else I'm going to have to call the police. And then
she says you only called the police because she didn't want to get back together with you.
No.
That's what she said.
No, sir. It's incorrect.
What are you saying, she's lying?
I would say that's a false accusation. So yes, sir. I hope that one day y'all can find it in y'all's hearts to forgive me for all the things that I've done.
Where'd those come from?
She's a white girl. I'm a strong man, so if I grab her, it's gonna leave bruises.
And later,
I run to DeAndre because I feel like he does give me like what I need. That's like true love.
we have the pictures of these bruises. Where'd those come from?
Probably when she was, shoot, maybe she would grab me or something. I mean, she's a white girl. I'm strong. I'm a strong man. So if I grab her, it's gonna leave bruises.
At this point, do you intend to stay involved with her?
Based off of last night, potentially, yes. However, if anything's gonna be resolved, first and foremost, I want to apologize to y'all for the things that I have done to your daughter, because y'all, she's a beautiful girl. She has a good heart, and y'all are, well, great parents. And I know some things go wrong, and I know y'all have done things. However, everyone does things, and not everyone's perfect. Just like I've done things and I'm not perfect. However, like I hope that one day y'all can find it in y'all's hearts to forgive me for all the things that I've done, and we could come to a conclusion, or and me and your daughter can be happily off and everything gets better. But if not, I just still want to apologize sincerely, because I've never given you a chance to apologize face to face. And I want to give you that, I hope you can give me that opportunity to say I'm sorry for everything that I've done to your daughter. And because she doesn't deserve it. She definitely doesn't deserve it. She's a beautiful woman. She's a great girl. She's smart. She's intelligent, like everything. She's the whole 9 yards. And y'all raised a beautiful, wonderful daughter. And
But you have no ability to predict that you can keep your hands off of her at this point, right? You know, like you said, I've started, but I don't.
No, sir.
No, sir. At this point, the best predictor of future behavior is relevant past behavior.
Yes, sir.
And at this point, you're a work in progress. You have no ability to predict that you can keep your hands off of her in anger, right?
Yes, sir.
Because, I mean, these are the images of what's happened so far. I mean, she's had black eyes, she's got bruises all over her body. You admit that you've choked her. I mean, we've been through the sexual assault that night. She says that you have beaten her, thrown her around, sexually assaulted her, choked her. And that's the history. That predicts
Yes,
what's
sir.
going to happen in the future unless you get more help than you've gotten.
Yes, sir.
So do you expect her parents to support you being with her until such a time as some independent professional says that you're a safe person to be around?
No, sir. I feel like if I was in their shoes, I would hate my guts, and I would never want my daughter to ever be around me if I was in their shoes.
And how many times have you seen her since you've been here? Last night, for sure.
Last night, the night before that, 2 out of 3 days. We've only been here 3 days.
2 out of 3 days?
Yes, sir.
You're under a restraining order right now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you violated it twice since you've been here.
Wait, am I supposed to agree with you?
No, you have. You already have.
Shoot, y'all got me sweating. I'm finna pull up from Clarksville and be back in jail. Shoot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You just admitted that you violated the restraining order twice since you've been here. We know that because you just have that on tape. And you've also admitted to a number of physical attacks, also on tape.
Yes, sir.
So I'm just saying, would you like to work cooperatively or adversarially? Because the family can take this videotape where you have admitted violating this restraining order. They can take this and play it for the judge who issued that order. And trust me, judges who issue orders and then have people just thumb their nose at the order, they don't like that very much.
Sir,
and if they take this tape and play that for the judge where you have disrespected the court and violated the order, are very likely to put you in jail.
Yes, sir.
Or would you rather just cooperate and agree that you leave her alone until such a time as you've gotten the help where an independent professional can look these people in the eye and say, I believe he's no longer a threat to your daughter?
Yes, sir.
So which would you rather do?
I would definitely want to get help and definitely figure out a way to where we could work things out and be together.
Because that would mean leaving her alone until such a time as, and I will get you the help, by the way.
Thank you.
I will get you professional help so long as you leave her alone until such a time as that professional can look these people in the eye and say, he was a threat, he was immature, he had impulse control problems, he had anger problems, but those have been resolved.
Yes, sir.
Because I want to help you. I'm not judging you, I want to help you. But if you can't do that and respect that, then they can achieve the same thing by putting you behind bars.
Yes, sir.
It is really up to you.
I definitely don't want to go to jail.
So you would rather agree that you'll respect the order, leave her alone, take the professional help I'm giving you, and not take her calls, not call her, and stay away from her in accordance with the court order.
Yes, sir.
And do I have your word on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm going to excuse you and bring her back out. DeAndre's going to leave the stage so we can talk to Autumn, who has not been allowed to watch anything due to the restraining order, because I do respect them. So I have your word and commitment.
Yes, sir.
Fair enough?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll be right back.
I am in fear of Autumn's life all the time.
I don't think people are born evil, and I felt like if I showed him enough love and what love really was, that it could change him.
I want this guy to pay for what he's done. He deserves to go to jail for a very long time. I think he's crazy.
Well, due to a restraining order, DeAndre is now backstage listening, and we are here with Autumn. Now, Sean says his daughter Autumn is constantly making excuses for her ex-boyfriend DeAndre after he beats her up, saying he's not evil, she loves him and thinks that she can help him. So I want to talk to you about this, and I want to add someone to the conversation here that I think is really very helpful to all of this, because I think he has some things to say to your parents as well. Dr. Sophie, why don't you come up and join us? Dr. Charles Sophie is a member of our advisory board, and he says that Sean and Angelica are not as actively involved as they can be, and are allowing Autumn to control them and make decisions when she does not have the tools to do so. And I couldn't agree more, and I'm not trying to insult you or condescend to you. I'm talking about the fact that I was saying before, that you're in the middle of this, and it's really hard when you're down in the trenches to see what's going on. And she is what we call enmeshed in this relationship, right? You see this all the time, Doctor.
Absolutely. I mean, what was it that you did, supposedly, that made her run to him? And in her mind, he has rescued her from you. And that connection, she can't let go. He's her protector, even though he doesn't protect her. So whatever happened that made you run when you said you didn't get fed, you didn't get a shower, all that stuff, the way you were telling them, you were pounding it into them. You're angry at them, I guess, right?
Yes, I'm angry.
Do you ever deal with that with them?
I mean, yeah, we talk about it, but I mean, definitely I run to DeAndre because I feel like he does give me like what I need and whatever I needed, and I feel like that's like true love.
Yeah, but initially you ran to him and he's protected you.
Yes.
And so that's where she's addicted to this whole thing. And then I don't know how much drugs and alcohol are involved in your relationship with him.
I only,
you went to a dispensary the other night.
I do smoke weed. There's a reason that I smoke weed, though.
But there's a reason everybody smokes weed.
Well, I have issues with, I have sleep paralysis.
Yes.
And every single time I try to sleep, I wake up paralyzed. I've been to doctors. They try to prescribe me like multiple medications, and I just feel like weed's a healthier way to help that, because it did completely get rid of that.
But how much is involved in your relationship with him? And how much does he do?
We do it all the time.
Right. So, I mean, there's an addiction piece of it, and then she gets addicted to also the drama. And then she found a place to rescue herself. So that has to be undone so that she can be freed.
This is my order of protection that I took out against DeAndre. It was taken out on July 10th, 2018. I got the order because he was following me around, and followed me to work, and I just got really scared. Other orders to the respondent are no contact. He must not come about the petitioner, including coming by or to the shared residence for any purpose. Even though I had a restraining order, DeAndre and I still were hanging out. The last time I talked to DeAndre was today. The last time I saw DeAndre face to face was about a week ago.
You look very perplexed, and let me tell you what I'm hearing Dr. Sophie say. And Dr. Sophie and I said he's on our advisory board. I have a very kind of off-the-cuff delivery style. I don't sound like an old country boy to you because you're an old country boy, but to everybody else, I do. But the truth is, there's a lot of research and work that goes into these interactions before they happen. And one of the things that goes into it is we have a very blue ribbon advisory board here of the top minds in psychology, psychiatry, medicine, sociology, even theology, nursing, all the different disciplines. And they're from the top learning centers in America: Harvard, Yale, Stanford, University of Texas. Just really where I'm able to call in and vet the different cases that we work on and get input from really the top minds. And Dr. Sophie is a very active and valued member of our advisory board. And he's board certified in psychiatry and family practice, and he is also the medical director of the Department of Child and Family Services here in LA, which is the largest Department of Child and Family Services unit in the entire country. So he sees family dynamics all the time. And I tell you what I hear him saying is her involvement with DeAndre is kind of like having an affair. It's like you get a husband and wife and they have to deal with the damn dailies, paying the bills, raising the kids, doing all this stuff. But then when one or the other goes off to have an affair, it's just like a long date. You know, that's fun. They don't have to deal with any of the problems. So here she is dealing with her parents, and you have to deal with discipline and raising and expectations and having to do all the things that you have to do when you raise a child. But then she goes off with DeAndre. All he does is tell her what she wants to hear and listens to everything she says about her parents and all of that sort of stuff. So he's like the knight that comes in and saves her. Pay no mind to the fact that he beats her. Right. But he tells her what she wants to hear, and so it just seems like a rescuer, right. And that's a dynamic. And it was interesting when we talked to you, she didn't trash you two at all. She loves and respects both of you, right? I mean, she said that very much. She didn't throw you guys under the bus a bit. And it was interesting in listening to the two of you talk about your daughter. You both described her exactly as what we see as a very young and intelligent woman that I think has a great future ahead of her. I mean, so we have people here that have mutual love and respect for each other, but there may be unfinished emotional business that needs to be resolved, right. And that's all you're saying, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Autumn says she wants to know if she can change DeAndre. I'm going to tell her what I think about that, and I'm going to let Dr. Sophie tell her what he thinks about that right after the break. Well, I'm back with Autumn and her parents, Sean and Angelica. I've asked Dr. Charles Sophie, a very valued member of our advisory board, to join us here, and he has made the very astute observation that there's unfinished emotional business between this young woman and her parents. Doesn't mean that there's a horrible fracture in this relationship, but there's unfinished emotional business that they could benefit from talking about in an open and mature way. Now, let me answer your first question. Can you help DeAndre? Can you fix what's wrong with him?
Yeah, I feel like everyone's has like someone in the world that they're meant to be with. So right. Is he just like not meant to be with anybody if he's like this? Oh,
no, not at all. But by the same token, what's wrong with him is above your pay grade. I do think he is very immature. I think his emotional development was arrested at a very young age, and I think he's functioning at an emotional age of maybe 12, 13 years old. What would you say?
Yeah, I would say, whenever you know that he started smoking, that's when an addict stops growing emotionally. So whatever age he started smoking is where he's still at emotionally.
So about the age you said was correct.
Yeah, because that becomes their coping mechanism, and so they stop. Necessity's the mother of invention, and when you don't have the necessity to develop coping skills because you're self-medicating, then you stop developing at that point. And our brain continues to grow into our mid-20s, and so when you start smoking marijuana, and I know it's not the cool thing to say, and I know it makes me sound like an old fuddy-duddy, and I hate that if it makes me uncool, but there is that little problem of overwhelming body of research that suggests that cannabis does interact with dopamine and the neurotransmitters in the brain, particularly young brains that are evolving and changes the way they form. And so it has an adverse effect on you and on him. So let me shorten that by saying no. You're not the one to fix him, but can he evolve and mature and get past this? Absolutely he can. And I have told him that I will get him the professional help to do that. But I have also told him that that is contingent upon him leaving you alone until he gets himself under control and an independent professional can step up and say he is no longer a threat to someone he's in a relationship with. And that means he has to take your name out of his vocabulary. He has to not take your phone calls if you make them. He has to not contact you, because every time he does, he's in violation of the court order, and a judge will put him in jail for that. And he made multiple confessions on this stage here that are confessions a judge will look really badly at. And so I'm not going to try to put him in jail or influence the court in any way, so long as he takes a mature enough path to try to get himself better. So in answer to your question, no, you can't fix him. There's nothing about you. It's just that it requires more than you're trained to do. Here's the thing with you. You've gotten into a relationship where you've been given messages about your worth and your value. And you've been very traumatized in this relationship. It's not, listen, people that get beat up and thrown around and fear for their life, that's trauma that doesn't just go away when it ends. And that needs some healing. And you need professional help for that. And there are people that are specialists in that. And, you know, you guys are from Tennessee, and there's actually a place in Tennessee that is, in my opinion, one of the, if not the best place for dealing with people that have been through mental and physical trauma that I've ever seen. It's a place called Onsite, and they are the worldwide leader in intensive workshops specializing in emotional trauma and mental health issues, and they're just a really trusted source. They're just outside of Nashville, and they're on 100 acres in the rolling hills outside of Nashville. It's just absolutely beautiful. And be selfish and put yourself in the shop for a little while. This is not a mental institution. It's a place where you go to workshops. I mean, if you want to go into town and get something to eat, you can. I mean, it's just right there. I mean, it's a wonderful place, and Miles Adcox is the director, and I would like to do that to give you a real jump start, and then follow that up with you having a personal professional that will help you implement a lot of this into your life. And I think it would make a huge difference in a short period of time for you. What do you think about that?
I think that I would agree with you. I think that I would do that. I think that I definitely need help. It's a really first-class operation, and I think it's time you put yourself at the top of the list and kind of be selfish in your own behalf for a while. And I think in a very short period of time, you're going to look back and go, oh my God, what was I thinking? What was I settling for? And you guys can be involved as well, and I think they'll pull you in and give you guys a chance to talk about any unfinished business you may have. It'll be a great way to transition away from him and let him transition away from you for a period of time, and that'll be a good chance to hit the reset button. Does that make sense to you all?
Yeah, thank you.
I want to thank all of my guests today. A special thanks to Dr. Charles Sophie, and a special thanks to Onsite and Miles Adcox for offering to help Autumn. We'll see you next time.